Hello, I'm Dr. Danielle Conway, veterinary nutritionist with Verity Pet Nutrition. Welcome to the truth corner of the internet with regards to dog and cat nutrition. This week, we're going to talk about how pet food marketing can manipulate you and how to avoid being manipulated. My top 10 fallacies, or the most common fallacies that are utilized in pet food, and how to see right through them. The first logical fallacy that is, I think, the most commonly used within the space is the appeal to nature logical fallacy. What does it sound like? It sounds like dogs are wolves, dogs are obligate carnivores, or cats are obligate carnivores. Therefore, carbs should never be administered. They're a poison. They should never eat carbs. They're a poison. Why does that work? It works because natural feels safe. It feels pure and morally good. You notice that? We are now moralizing or assigning moral value to a pet food. That has no place in science and medical care. We shouldn't be assigning moral values. Our brains like these evolutionary stories. It makes sense to our brain. It is one of these shortcuts that our brain can use to go from how should I feed my pet to exactly what to feed my pet without having to go through an advanced nutrition degree or medical school or veterinary school. It's oversimplifying. What's missing? So much nuance. And that's why I named my podcast Nuance. Modern dogs are not wolves, and neither species eats in an evolutionary or ecological vacuum. Nutrition is about nutrients, bioavailability, and context. And then when you put that animal into a home for thousands of years and assign caretakers to them who have their own values, morals, and preferences, you have layered on so much complexity that those original fallacies will fall apart under scrutiny and under the pressure of science and facts. And the problem is that this is not ancestral cosplay. This is real nutrition for our dogs and our cats. Our dogs are no longer wolves. You can no longer drop them into the woods and have them survive. Cats maybe, but dogs definitely not. You cannot take your little foo-foo or fifi fluffy, go drop it in the woods for 10 days and have it not lose weight, maintain its blood parameters, and otherwise thrive. A better question would be, what evidence supports this claim in modern dogs or cats, not wild analogies? That's the real question to ask when you're confronted with appeal to nature. The next logical fallacy that is very common in pet nutrition is fear-based marketing. I would say this goes through for human medical care, especially children, parents of children, is aimed at them. What does it sound like? In pet nutrition, it sounds like kibble causes cancer. Most vets won't tell you this. Big pet food is hiding the truth. A lot of conspiracy theories that people will use to make you afraid. Why it works? Fear shuts down nuance. It moves us from our thinking prefrontal cortex, that evolutionary part of our brain that makes us human and not animal, and back into our reptilian brainstem. It removes the ability to think critically when we are afraid. And that's why we should never be making decisions out of fear. Once you're scared, anything that promises safety feels compelling. So if whoever's trying to sell you something or get you to align with them is using fear, they're trying to stop you from thinking critically and seek safety by aligning with them, even if it costs the health of you or your pet. What's missing? So much nuance. Dose, duration, population risk, comparative risk, all of the very complex scientific things that they're trying to bypass. Everything can be harmful under the wrong conditions, including fresh food, including water can be poisonous at a high enough dose. The saying the dose makes the poison is absolutely true. A better question would be, compared to what? And at what dose? In what population? Those are questions that would shut fear-based marketing down in its tracks. The third most common logical fallacy in the pet wellness, pet nutrition space is called the halo effect or ingredient worship. What does that sound like? That sounds like with turmeric, blueberries, kelp, and mushrooms, and collagen. Why it works? If one ingredient sounds virtuous, the whole product feels virtuous, right? The halo effect, the glow effect. What is missing? Inclusion doesn't mean efficacy. Trace amounts does not equal therapeutic impact, and interactions matter. What is a better question for you to ask? A better question is this ingredient presented in a meaningful amount, a meaningful quantity, a meaningful dose? And is it appropriate and tested in the species it is being used in? Fourth logical fallacy, science washing. Science washing all over the place now. It's really confusing. What does it sound like? Clinically proven, backed by science, formulated by vets, formulated by experts. Or worse, you'll see this, one of the biggest wellness Facebook pet accounts has somebody who has a very strong marketing background, has done TED Talks, but has no expertise within pet nutrition, pet physiology, or science in general. And they claim to be a data junkie, and they'll throw up a study and talk about it, and their conclusions of what the study says are vastly different from what's actually in the study. Or they'll pull a study that doesn't have enough of a robust backing, enough statistics behind it to make any kind of definitive conclusions. It can make you ask questions. It should lead to follow-up studies, but by no means should one study be used as evidence to make broad sweeping clinical decisions about a population. Why does it work? Science language signals authority, even when it's vague. It's really easy to trick people. What's missing? What science? In what species? So not just science, not just data, not just research, what? Or one of my favorite examples is antioxidants. My favorite question to follow that up with is, which ones? How do they work? You will often shut people right down in their tracks because they don't understand the words that they're parroting at you that they've heard from somebody else. Using what outcome measures is another good question to ask. Was the study appropriate? Was it independent? Was it relevant? Did it have enough scientific power? And in general, like we've talked about already, one simple study should not be used to make decisions about a sweeping entire population. It should be used to generate follow-up studies. That is the way that science is intended. A better question is, can I see the actual study and does it apply here? And you may need help asking a colleague or friend that has a science degree who spent years studying journal articles and learning how to rip them apart, interpret it for you, because it's not easy to do. We're going to do it a little bit in unbiased bites, but even then, it's hard to take somebody who doesn't have a background or advanced degree in science, meaning a master's or PhD. That's really where you get into ripping apart and being able to interpret scientific literature. The fifth is false dichotomies. What does it sound like? You either feed fresh or you don't care. It's big kibble or us. So it puts kind of a wedge or kind of a common enemy type marketing. Why does it work? A binary choice reduces cognitive load. So if it's this or that, us or them, A or B, it oversimplifies it, but to the point where it makes it easy for your brain. And our brain's like that. Two options feel better than the nuance of reality. What's missing? There's no single right way to feed. Nutrition exists on a spectrum shaped by health status, budget, risk tolerance, and access. What is a better question to ask? Why are there only two extremes being presented? The sixth logical fallacy that is common in pet food is authority by proxy. What this sounds like? Veterinarian approved, nutritionist formulated. Why does it work? Credentials create trust, even when they're undefined, and even when that person might be an outlier among their peers. What's missing? Not all credentials are meant to represent the same thing and have the same level of expertise behind them. A title without scope, transparency, or accountability is a marketing asset, not proof. Marketing asset makes sales better, is not proof that the product actually works. Better question, who exactly is this person and what role do they play? If you want to get precise, this is where standards like those from AFCO or even those SAVA questions, my questions, will help to push and ask for true credentials and for true quality control methods. The seventh is anecdote over evidence. What does that sound like? My dog lived to 18 on this, or we have thousands of 5-star reviews, or my favorite is, well, it's never been a problem before. Love that one. Yet. It's never been a problem yet. Just because the software to develop a homemade diet has never created a problem in the few years it's been out there doesn't mean it's not going to. And a lot of people will choose to. Entrepreneurs will ostrich their heads in the sand rather than taking accountability to make sure the product is safe. Why does it work? Stories feel more real than statistics. That sounds very convincing. My dog lived to be 18 versus we have validated studies to show that our software is as good as the gold standards. Right? That doesn't sound sexy. My dog lived to 18 sounds way sexier. Way more convincing. Our brains are evolved for campfires, not confidence intervals or conferences. What's missing? Survivorship bias, the placebo effect, and the fact that animals do fine in spite of suboptimal diets until they don't. And that's always my response when I'm consulting is, it's fine until it isn't. The animal does fine until it doesn't. Living beings are incredibly resilient, but we shouldn't rely on that as a crutch. We have known defined mins and maxes for all the major nutrients out there. We should be meeting them. There's no excuse for that. And if we're going to be putting the time and energy effort into raising our animals and spending maybe a little bit more in a diet, especially if you're going from like a kibble to a fresh, then that company should be doing their due diligence to make sure that their product is validated and safe. A better question is this reproducible beyond an individual story, beyond some reviews? The eighth and final one that I'll leave you with today is the transparent brand persona. What does this sound like? We're different. We're honest. We're rare. We'll tell you what others won't. Why it works. Transparency language builds intimacy and trust. What's missing? True transparency that includes limitations, trade-offs, uncertainty. It's missing the it depends. If you are following me on any amount of time here or on social media or in any of my communities, my most favorite phrase and any expert's most favorite phrase is it depends. Because it depends on your individual pet at home. It depends on your budget. It depends on your lifestyle and your preferences. It's not just a one-size-fits-all answer. And uncertainty is sometimes better than selective disclosure. A better question is, what are they willing to say that their product doesn't do? There is no perfect product. There is no perfect food. There is no magic silver bullet that will make us or our pets live forever. And any company should be willing to tell you who this product is for and who this product is not for. And that you should save your money and spend it somewhere else. That is a true, honest company with integrity. And we need to be holding companies and individuals accountable for this type of information they're putting out there and asking for this level of radical transparency. I hope this has been helpful. We just scratched the surface here of logical fallacies in pet foods and products. We'll cover it a lot more in Unbiased Bites. Also, more on the Nuance podcast. And hope to see you there. I hope to see you more right here. Welcome to the Truth Corner and happy feeding.